Welcome to this video, viewers. This is Clash of Beast Quest.
This is Doo-Doo's.
This is Clash of Beast Quest, episode 8. Xerik, the Bone Cruncher. Versus Anoret, the first beast. Let's get into the fight. Anoret dived at Xerik, claws outstretched. Yet Xerik lashed out a vine tendril, coiling it around Anoret's neck. Struggling to breathe, Anoret was lifted into the sky, the thorns on the vine tendril piercing his flesh. Anoret started choking and gagging. Anoret raised one of his claws and slashed downwards, cutting deep into the tendril. The tendril, although it now had like a deep groove in it from like here down all the way from here, Xerik would not let go. He let out a thunderous bellow of pain, making the entire earth shake, and all of the audience had to cover their ears as the entire arena shook with the force of the roar. Anoret was about to die of suffocation when he thought of an idea. He lifted, his claw was still stuck in Xerik's tendril, so he just continued to slash downwards and severed the tendril. The end that was holding his neck loosened and fell to the ground, and Xerik let out another bellow of pain. But Anoret was plummeting towards the ground because Xerik lifted him into the sky, and just before Anoret hit the ground, Xerik shuffled up beneath him and opened his mouth, looking upwards into the sky, ready to swallow Anoret whole. But as Anoret fell, he drove his claws down into Xerik's face, but the force of the fall just dragged him down. But he stopped right before his claws was slipped off, and he fell into Xerik's lipless mouth. Xerik let out a loud bellow of pain, and the blood from Xerik's gash made it slippy, and Anoret could hardly hold on. Anoret scrabbled upwards and climbed inside. Anoret spread his claws out, tearing the gash open, and climbed inside of it. Xerik let out a bellow of pain and stuck one of his vine tendrils into the gash as Anoret was starting to scrabble inside Xerik's head. The vine tendril went straight into Anoret's mouth, choking him, but Anoret was like, "Thank you for the food," and just bit down on the tendril and ate the ends. Xerik let out another bellow of pain, and Anoret was scrabbling even deeper into Xerik's head. Another tendril came and Anoret felt a sharp tug on his tail. He looked back to see the thorns of a tendril piercing the flesh on the end of his tail, as the tendril was just tugging him out. Anoret turned and tried to slash at it, but the tendril just went over the slash and coiled round his claw. Anoret tried to tug back, but his strength was no match to the tendril, and the tendril still wrapped around Anoret's claw, turned the claw towards Anoret and plunged the claw into Anoret's collarbone. Anoret roared with pain, and you could hear the bones snap. The audience just made a boom sound, and Anoret let out a loud roar of pain. Anoret decided that it wasn't a good idea anymore, and he would try somewhere else on Xerik. So he quickly leapt out of the open gash and planted his claws on top of Xerik's head, and climbed down the back of his head and scrabbled his claws into the back of his head, so Xerik couldn't reach. Xerik shuffled up to the wall of the arena and pressed Anoret up against it with all of his strength. Anoret kept scrabbling into the back of his head, and right before he was about to be crushed, he tore the wound open and went inside of the wound again. Anoret's vision was filled with pink, and with the raw pink flesh beneath Xerik's skin, and on the blood. Xerik let out a loud growl of pain, and the audience had to cover their ears again as Anoret started scrabbling at the inside of his head, making his way towards Xerik's brain. Then Xerik used all of his vine tendrils that were left, planted each end on the ground and pushed up off of the ground. Now Xerik was standing in the air, and then he decided to fall forwards. And as he plummeted towards the ground, Anoret felt his stomach lurch as Xerik dropped. Then when Xerik's face smashed into the arena wall, making him growl with pain, somehow he survived it and wasn't knocked out cold or anything. Anoret was propelled out of the open wound in the back of Xerik's head. He fell to the ground, and one of his legs just snapped on the impact, and his face was pushed up into the dirt. Anoret tried to stagger to his feet, but he slipped. Another tendril grabbed Anoret and hoisted him into the air. Anoret looked up and saw Xerik was standing up again and hoisting him upwards. He was hoisted into Xerik's first throat, and then slipped down the other, scrabbling for a handhold. Anoret then decided to plunge his claws into the joint where Xerik's tongue connects to his throat, and Xerik let out a loud growl of pain and even started coughing, and Anoret saw blood rising in his throat before shooting up past him out of Xerik's mouth. Oh my, I thought Merc versus Spiros was the most gruesome battle in it, but no. Anoret drove his other claw into Xerik's tongue and then drove his back left claw into the joint, his back right paw hanging limply. He started climbing up Xerik's tongue, stabbing his claws in as Xerik kept spitting blood out of his mouth.
It's ready.
Okay. Anoret went up into the top, finally climbed up into Xerik's mouth and nearly out his mouth. But then he started slipping down Xerik's first throat, second throat. He did the same thing, and Xerik still kept spitting blood into the ground. His tendrils useless, and Xerik couldn't use his tendrils because he couldn't see Anoret, and he would just wait. He has eyes inside his mouth. Oh yeah, but the eyes were like not in his throat, they were above his throat, so they couldn't see Anoret. So he wouldn't be able to see Anoret. And one of the tendrils stabbed into the top of Xerik's throat and lodged there. Xerik felt the pain of blood loss as he was slowly bleeding out to death, and he realised he had to act quick. Anoret climbed back into Xerik's mouth and pinned his jaws open, but Xerik's entire force was way too much for him, and he easily just slid his jaws shut, cutting Anoret in half from like here down like this.
Oh, sorry.
And there was a sickening squelch. Xerik let out one earth-shaking bellow of rage into the sky.
No, you've had yours.
But then he realised he had to go back to his chamber quickly.
You've had yours.
Otherwise,
You've already had yours.
he's dead and none of them win.
You've had yours.
He shuffled as quickly as he could back to his chamber and then leapt inside. And then he came back out, all wrapped up with bandages and nearly perfectly healed, but with his blood splodges all over him. He bellowed into the sky, and the audience roared with a crowd of cheers and boos. And some boos because some people betted on Anoret and Xerik won. So Xerik has won. And Anoret has lost. If you think Anoret should have won, then tell me why in the comments, but I made Xerik won win because Xerik is probably one of the biggest beasts in Beast Quest, and he has an extremely powerful strength that could beat nearly anything. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!